So so we come to North Leigh Roman Villa. It it still has a mosaic in situ. It's underneath that hut to my left. It's situated on the river Evenlode in Anglo-Saxon times. Well, in medieval times, it was known as the River Bladen. So it's the wrong name. You get wrong names on maps. For example, Isis. The Thames is not the Isis. Never has been. It's just people making stuff up. There's another river called the Anton. The river's not called the Anton. That was just somebody putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 5. It's actually the River Anne, but it's antiquarians making stuff up because they're making leaps to connect stuff. Now, I can be guilty of that, but I have to be. We have to be careful. Make sure that we don't do it because it's irresponsible. It gives us the wrong idea about our past, and if we don't know our past, we can't possibly know what our identity is today or where we're going to go in the future. It's a fraud. We need to avoid it. This is a very interesting Roman villa. They all are in essence, but it's the landscape around it. What I'm doing really is using interesting stuff like this to illustrate the structure of the historical and social structure of the landscape. So we have the River Bladen, now the Evenlode, which is just down there. I don't have an Anglo-Saxon charter for here. I normally work with there, but with those. But in this case, I've had to jump forward, 500 years, and there's what's called a perambulation. So this area was within, well, just over the river. The river's right next to us. You can see why they put this villa here. The river winds out rounds very nicely, but just on the other side of the river, the next field is you're in the forest of Wychwood, and that is Anglo-Saxon. So that's coming. What that means is Hwicce wudu. So you might recognise the word Wychwood from your local pub on the pumps, and it's named after the beer is named after this wood. So Wychwood is a royal forest. So we have to settle disputes. Nobody likes the king telling you what to do with your land, so there were obviously disputes. So a commission was set up to walk around the royal forest just to make sure that everybody knew what their responsibilities were. And that was written down. So much like the Anglo-Saxon charters, we've got something from 500 years later. Using everything's a lee and and things like that, and a bury and all the rest of it. So it's still, but we're into Middle English, not Old English, not the Anglo-Saxon. It's the Norman and later, well, it's English, but Middle English. So I wanted to talk about that because this is. I was just talking a minute ago about a Anglo-Saxon prince from the Hwicce. The Hwicce are also a Anglo-Saxon tribe. Nobody's really heard of them. They later on get merged into the Mercians, but they are in the early to middle part of the Anglo-Saxon period. They are their own people, and this wood, the wood here, is named after them, Wychwood, which is a Hwicce, Hwicce Buddha. It's also very, very interesting because there's still, the Roman activity. You can see there's a villa here, there's a villa a mile away, there's another villa a mile beyond that, and there's a place called Ditchley, which has got a great big dike all the way around it, which the English, the Anglo-Saxons, called the Grim's Ditch or Grim's Dyke. Grim is another word for Woden, probably, we know the Scandinavians called Odin, which is Woden in their language, Grim, Grimmer, and we think the English also did that with Woden before they became Christians. So it's an insight into a sort of a heathen way of thinking. But we think that those ditches delineate a Roman estate, which gives us ideas about what the Romans did with the land. Again, more information about the past and the landscape. And there's also, just north of here, there's a Roman road which I'll take you up to next, and that's called the Ackerman Way. So going down to, there's got a ford down here. The ford meets the Roman road. The Roman road, I don't believe, crosses the river, but it's a junction. And I've forgotten the name of it, but it's on the perambulation. I'll put it in. I'll put it in somewhere along here, and I'll talk about the Roman road as well once I get there. So this is the ford up there, going along the side of the hill and then up that way. That's Ackerman Street. It's a Roman road, straight as you like. We can see it from field boundaries and also what obviously looks like a road, but it's called Ackerman because that's Old English, and Akeman, somebody who's ill, a man who's aching. It's the road that leads to Cirencester, and then another road leads to Bath, and Bath is where you go to get healed. Bath, an Old English name for Bath is Ackermanchester. So that's a nice, that's a nice little bit of history. But anyway, it's getting the end of the day. I'm going home now. Thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you on the next one. Ta-ra for now.